Welcome back aboard Blurred Force One with your boy Mo. And today I'm reviewing Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 8. It's entitled Caves, and it's coming to you from Paramount Plus. So, what did I think about it, and should you be watching? And before we get into the review, get down there, hit like on this video. Well, Caves of Season 8, Season 4, Episode 8 of Star Trek Lower Decks is all about, well, caves. I mean, it's in the title. That's one good thing about this show is that they're always making sure that you don't have to think too hard about what the title's all about. And, this episode is one of the great Lower Decks episodes where we sort of, take the piss out of some common Star Trek trope. In this case, the fact that Star Trek started out as a somewhat lower budget sci-fi thing, and that they had to make it all work. That's why we got, episodes that take place in the past, with gangsters or whatever, what have you, whatever is on the Paramount backlot. But in this case, because they did a lot of cave related episodes throughout the history of Star Trek, going all the way back to the original series. So think of this as a bit of a tribute to all of the great cave mysteries or cave episodes, or just plain old, haunted caves, what have you, that have gone across the generations of Star Trek. And in this case, we have the OG four, Lower Decks members, of course, Mariner, Rutherford, Boimler, Tendi, and they're going on a cave mission, and Mariner's not enthused by it, and we find out why, because a routine little scientific survey, which I have to wonder, why don't y'all just have a drone to do these things? I've yet to understand why we right now have drones. They have drones, but somehow you got to send junior officers down to, wave the little detector around the tricorder, and that's it. Okay. You know what? Asking too many questions right now. The point is, they get to a cave, and of course, they're out of contact with the ship. Some rumbling happens. They're trapped. They got to figure their way out, and there's some this glowing lichen or whatever the hell it is, bacteria, fungus, whatever it is. Turned out it's loves to eat people, meat, whatever, and so they have a certain amount of time before it closes in on them, and so they're like, let's put our heads together and figure out our way out of yet another cave mishap, which clearly it's just everyone in Starfleet has a cave mishap. You really have to wonder, in the Starfleet manual, shouldn't they just say stay out of caves? What? That's neither here nor there. This really gives us an opportunity to give some flashback storytelling when we see all of the various people's stories about the last time they were trapped in a cave and they had a cave experience. And it leads to some very fun and funny stuff. We find out that Rutherford and Dr. Tana were trapped in a cave, and then Rutherford had a cave baby. Literally, he gave birth to a clone baby, and he and Dr. Tana, when they're in an effort to get out of this cave system, because the person that led them in there had died, and had become a clone baby. They become, I guess, co-parent this little clone child, and then also, Tana, she's so gruff, and she's grumpy and all the other stuff, but you see a real soft side to her that we all know she had. She's all crotchety, but until she's not. She hates kids, but apparently she says she hates kids more than she hates junior officers. So, but at the end of it, they figure it all out, and they talk to this cave animal that they thought was attacking them, but was really just trying to talk them out of messing with its young. And so the reaction to that isn't, oh, well, it's just wow, you had a crazy cave story, but also, how the hell you didn't tell us about this? Which again, maybe cave mishaps are just things that happen on Tuesday in Starfleet. I don't know. We also have Boimler has one. in which he basically is on a mission with an ensign who's the resident, I don't want to call him flat earther, but you can call her flat earther, but conspiracy nut, and then ends up, he's all, talking about conspiracies about Vendorians, who are some kind of alien race that are always messing with people and giving them moral conundrums to deal with. And so he ends up telling him off, and then the Vendorians are actually there, and this was their this cave in was their moral dilemma. But thanks to the fact that this ensign that nobody likes actually is like, oh yeah, I knew about you Vendorians and everything, it actually saves them or whatever. Saves, because the Vendorians, apparently they're not actually going to kill anyone. I don't know. Look, it's a Star Trek thing. The point is, he becomes friends with this guy that everyone else is like, this guy sucks. And again, instead of being like, oh man, that was cool, how is this going to help us out of this cave? People, the others are just like, how do you tell us that you're friends with this douche, basically? And then that leads to Mariner. They're talking about, because this guy, he was on Delta shift. That's a shift that they don't like. And then she actually is like, well, actually, Delta shift's fine. And then we find out that she, as a junior officer, so since they've been promoted, they've been leading other people on away missions, and since she was leading this mission, and again they crash land into this cave, and one of the ensigns has a horrible compound fracture, hilariously played up in this scene, where they, in order to get a certain ore that'll help them synthesize, what they need to power the ship back up, they find out that in order to get to the ore, there's a time dilation effect that's going on that makes them older, and so it's just a fun little thing between Mariner and Delta Shift, and trying to get over there. They're old and everything like that. And it really just leads to Mariner realize, oh, well, Delta Shift, actually, they're not bad. They just, they get the crap jobs that we leave for them and so forth. And we're just kind of shitting on them. And they're not likely to get promoted because of where they are. And she actually becomes really good friends with those guys. And, the solution to that thing is, of course, that there's another time dilation that makes you super young. It's Star Trek. There's one thing I want to say about this. I really enjoy this episode because it's so Star Trek. Like, if you ever watch any other Star Trek, it's live action, and they try to play it straight, but it's silly as hell. There's a lot of silly as hell. What if this would be cool happening in this cave, and also we don't have to go on location to film this. It's funny because this show literally can do anything. It's animation, and yet they're doing a cave story. Why not? It's meta stuff going on here. That leads to them eventually, they're kind of fighting about, oh man, all these stories you're told, you're revealing information we didn't tell each other. We don't have any useful information now. The person eating fungus or whatever, cave lichen, just swallows them all up. And this whole time, Tindy's been trying to tell this story about the time they got caught in the turbo lift. And then, so you're thinking like, oh man, they're all about to die. And then the lichen turns out to be sentient. Of course it does. Star Trek. Of course it's sentient. It just really, really, really wants to hear Tindy's story. And what we get is a story about the first day that Tindy's on the Cerritos. And of course, that was when there was a big to-do on that. And at the end of it, they get stuck in a turbo lift. So it's essentially a bonding experience for the four of them, where they play games and, just talk and all the other stuff while they're stuck in a turbo. Again, why is they stuck in a turbo lift? How has Starfleet got broken turbo lifts? It's not an elevator from like now. But what, asking too many questions as usual. So while they're stuck in, they bond, and it's like their best day ever, and they're friends and all that other stuff. And so they are the friend group that we know they are from the last few seasons, until they're rescued. And so at the end of it, it was all about hey, yes, we meet new people, we become friends, and we're doing all these other things. We don't tell each other necessarily everything, but we're going to be friends, BFFs, yeah, that sort of thing, which I loved because I like this little friend group that's in Lower Decks. But also that they sort of, befriend, I guess you can say, the sentient moss that just really wanted to have friends instead of getting shot at with phasers and stuff like that, and to hear all the stories. And then after all of that, it was just a setup by the Vendorians for a moral tale to help them remain bonded. And I'm just like, is everything about the Vendorians? That's a good question. Are these shape shifting weirdo, like, Saturday morning cartoon PSA sort of freaking alien? What they have, is that all they got to do with their lives? Let's just go do morality plays, bro. Asking too many questions. Point is, this is a good. In fact, this is a really good episode. It's not, I don't think it's my favorite episode of the season, but it's really close. Really enjoyed it, start to finish. It has everything I want in a Lower Decks episode. I love the mixing and matching of the characters. We get a little bit more insight into who they are, what they've been doing while the last time we hadn't seen them. They're chaotic and they're good, and there's just a lot of fun, silly shit going on. And at the end of the day, it comes back to the fact that they're just good guys who are enjoying working with each other and solving problems and being Starfleet. Can't ask for too much more than that. So I say this is a really good episode. I liked Caves a lot, and I think you guys will probably like it too if you like Star Trek. So anyway, what did you guys think about this episode? What did you think about what I had to say? Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And while you're down there, do me a favor, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps grow this channel so that more people can see reviews just like this one. All right, thanks for joining me. Come back next time. We're going to review the penultimate episode of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4. I can't believe it. Episode 9 already. So until then, I've been Mo, your commenter extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.